shows where the host is waving a flag or trying to marry the fags? Are you done with listening to cookbook kooks, gardening geeks, or two jack-offs doing dick jokes about this week's headlines? Welcome to Flophouse Radio. This is the show where politically correct gets dumped faster than Jessica Simpson after she got fatter than Butterbean. Don't try to put a label on this host. His political stance is somewhere between Huey Newton and Adolf Hitler. Write in and weigh in, or just listen in, as your host Roger Rod will keep you spellbound, asking the only question that even he can't answer. What is he going to say next? It's time for Flophouse Radio with your host, the most versatile combination of wisdom, entertainment, and in-the-trenches life experience, Roger Rod.
And a good morning if you are an artist, and a good afternoon if you're a normie. This is the return. I am happy to be back here, RMC Radio, working with my boy Chris, who has got everything all set up for me. We have been absent and running reruns for the past few weeks through no fault of RMC and really no fault of mine, just kind of the way things worked out. I've been on the road, went to New York, went to Atlanta, and I want to return the shout out while I was in Atlanta at the biggest black comedy club in the United States, a place called the Uptown. Those folks know how to run the game. It was standing room only shows every night, 3 shows Saturday, 2 shows Friday, 1 show Sunday. They had that place packed full of talented folks, and I was happy to be on the bill along with Rob Stapleton and the drop-in of the great Michael Collier, who came blaze the stage every night. He happened to be in Atlanta, and he's a longtime friend of mine and a real artist and a good friend. Now, that being said, that was the run in Atlanta, and I got to tell you, it was a motherfucker. Nobody wants to hear your bullshit. Nobody wants to hear your excuses. When you come to a show, the show has to go on. But the problem was, somewhere around day 5 in New York, prior to my run in Atlanta, I picked up some kind of a cold that has teeth. It just didn't want to go anywhere, and by the time I got to the ATL, I was running 102 temperature and my voice was fading. It's very hard to do stand-up without a voice. But nonetheless, did manage to pull off all the shows. They were pleased with what I did. I'm going to be brought back as a headliner, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. Enough of the commercial for Roger. Let's get back to what happened. I took ill in Atlanta and New York, came back, and I was unable to do the show last week because Chris was smart enough to realize, hey, I don't need what this fucking fool has. So why don't you just stay home instead of missing or running the show again? And they were running once again the shows I've done. But this one is live and on point today. And now we're going to get down to what it is that I came here to speak about in the remaining balance of the show, which started once again a little late. And I'm going to play the race card on that. I showed up late. I got the information or confirmation that we were going to do the show today a little bit later, but that's nonetheless not the point. It was my responsibility to be here. But the race card I'm going to play is I've been playing black clubs 18 years, and CPT is something that has grown on me. It just kind of has become part of my life. I got laid down to a science now, and black folks say they own late. No, fuck it, I'm in on this too. So I was late today. It's all my fault, but nonetheless, we're back on point. Here goes where we're going to start off the show today. We just had the 31st come and go. Oddly enough, right before April Fool's Day, which is something I posted and blasted about. If you're over the age of 8 and you're still playing April Fool's jokes, you're a fucking fool the other 364 days of the year, too. Grow the fuck up. April Fools. Pranks. I hate pranks. I really do. I got no use for pranks because they're the essence of 2 things that I don't like. Number 1 is they're laughing at someone, not with someone. Ha ha, we fooled you. We made an idiot out of you. Isn't that funny? You trusted us and we shoved it up your ass. Gosh, where's the joke? Item number 2, pranks are always based upon the essence of a tale that carries a lot of meaning if you're smart enough to pick up the message. The boy that cried wolf. Oh, it's real funny when you're playing the prank and, you convince somebody that whatever catastrophe is happening or going to happen or going to move on. And then what happens when it's the truth? Yeah, I fell for that last. That's called the boy that cried wolf. Those are pranks. Fuck pranks. Fuck April Fools. Back to where that date came into the presence of my conscience, which was not April Fools. It was because March 31st, the day before, 9 p.m. Cali time, 12 midnight East Coast. that's when we all had to have some form of medical insurance. The deadline for the word that has become known as Obamacare. Now, I've been saying on stages the entire time since, I think it's '08 now, when Obama got in office, that if you don't like Barack Obama, criticize him as a president. Don't take away the most decent thing I've seen happen in this country in my lifetime. I never thought I would live long enough to see a black family in the White House. That says something good about all of us, that America finally had at least graduated from 2468, we don't want to integrate fire hoses and the crap that was going on in the 50s and the 60s and all the rest of the blatant racism, discrimination that was part of the country. We went from that to where there's a black family in the White House. Now, I think that's a good thing. But now let's get down to the reality of it. If you don't like him, criticize him as a president. Well, I'm going to criticize him as being, quote unquote, one of them. Now, one of them, if you're part of the Tea Party, which had to be called the Tea Party because the Klan was already taken. Now, anybody that plays the Barack Obama is a Muslim, he's a socialist, he wasn't born, that's just another way of dropping an N-bomb. So let's get down to what it is that I don't like. He's one of them. You know what one of them is? Not one of them N's. He's one of them P's. He's a fucking politician. And there isn't a single politician on Capitol Hill that isn't a slimeball pile of fucking corrupted filth. All of them are. They're in a club and we ain't in it. They are elected on the funding of lobbyists, special interest groups, and the ties that they have to corporations, and the biggest of the corporations on planet Earth, the military-industrial complex. That's who they are wedded to. That's who they are working for, not us. So now let's get down to Obamacare. This is what launched this little rant, because now Barack Obama showed me that by how this has played out since I finally had to delve into it and find out because the deadline was coming, and I knew that there were some kind of fines or penalties that were going to be assessed for somebody who didn't go along with this program, I finally started looking into it. Here's how it plays out. The speech from this articulate Harvard graduate gentleman plays that I want all Americans to have health coverage. That's the speech, the rhetoric. Here's what the reality is. I am demanding that all Americans buy health insurance. That's what it comes down to. Now, health insurance is not health care. We don't have health care. We have sick care. We don't have health insurance. We have insurance companies fucking people out of their coverage after they pay their premiums and they actually need them. We have a racket set up with deductibles that are staggering that plays out pretty much like this. Option number one for me was to do nothing, at which point I will be assessed a fine at some point by this government because of the fact that I don't have health insurance. That's what I'm being told. I'm going to be fined some amount of money. Now, the first thought that crosses all of our minds, well, how are they going to find me? The same fucking way the IRS and the student loan people and the parking meter people find you. Whenever there's money that they're going to fuck you out of, they're going to find you. So they will find me. I do know that. But option number one is to pay the fine. Option number two is to get something under Covered California, or AKA Obamacare. Here's what the options are on that. Because of the paltry sum of money that I survive upon as a professional entertainer, I qualified for quote-unquote government assistance. In other words, they were going to pay part of my premium to the insurance company. Here's how that plays out. Option number one, an HMO. HMOs are the antichrist of anything to do with healthcare. It's county with a co-payment and monthly premiums. It's shit. It's nurse practitioners, it's referrals, it's you want a good doctor, fuck you, they all bailed out and went to another country. You're going to get the shit we got when we allow you to get it, permission slips and every other kind of hoop to jump through when you need to see a doctor. So HMO is shit. Well, that came out to the tune of about $1.60 a month out of my pocket to have. So $160 a month for shit care. Then came the EPOs and the PPOs. And what they come down to is you can pick your doctor out of these lists that they have of more top echelon level professional doctors. Or they pay a percentage if you go and pick your own doctor outside of that. What does it come down to? $5,000 deductibles. What does it come down to? 50% or less that you'll have to fight them for if you do pick your own doctor. But the $5,000 deductible, let's start with that right there. After I pay what's somewhere around $600 a month, the government, in all of their benevolence, takes a look at what I make every fucking year at my 5 motherfucking figure salary and decides they're going to help me out with somewhere over half of it. Still, what was it out of me? $252 a month. So I could have a plan with a $5,000 deductible. And P.S., I don't go to doctors. Do you think I went to the doctor for this cold? Fuck no, I didn't. That'd be a really shrewd investment. $150 to have him say, well, drink plenty of liquids, get a lot of bed rest. You've got a virus. A virus is medical term for we have no fucking idea what you've got. So I don't need doctors unless some catastrophic thing happens, at which point I kind of have a better plan for here's my Roger care. What happens if you really get sick? In the first place, what are we talking about? The big one? The C word. And it's not cunt. Cancer. There's only 2 kinds of cancer they can cure, as far as I'm concerned. Prostate cancer, if you're smart enough to get somebody to shove a finger up your ass every day. And by the way, guys, when you get over 40, you got to do this. Sorry. You want to, I'm not going to let nobody do it. Well, good. Then you'll be the one with prostate cancer, and I got fucking umpteen friends that have gone through this. You don't want that. You definitely don't want it, because if they catch it too late, you're fucked. You're not only going to die a miserable death, but along the way, you're going to be wearing diapers. And you can't get a fucking hard-on for the rest of your life. So if that sounds good to you, be a real man and don't get a prostate check every year. Watch how that plays out. So I do that. Because if they catch that in time, it's a no-brainer. They can take care of it easily without the usual chemo and radiation and cutting your body apart. And the second one is colon cancer. Which means once every 10 years, you got to get a 30-foot hose shoved up your ass. Now, none of this sounds like a lot of fun, and it's certainly nothing that I like, but this is reality. Those are the only 2 kinds of cancers that can do anything. Anything else, you get cancer, as far as I'm concerned, it's a fucking death sentence. And a long, miserable one where you die weighing 72 pounds with tubes sticking out of you, so you can stick that up your ass. Knock on wood, I get a cancer like that, there's going to be a skydiving accident. That's how that one's going to play out, but I am not going out with a bunch of tubes in me. I already saw my dad go out that way, my uncle go out that way, my stepdad go out that. Fuck you and the tubes in you. That's not happening. So what am I saying? So I need this catastrophic health care? No, I don't. Because if any of those things happen, I'm going to have myself a nice 6 months. I'll find out what heroin's all about. Probably go to Afghanistan, which is what that war is all about to begin with. That's where the good shit is. But I don't need $250 being taken out of what little income I have to give to Aetna, Blue Cross. Fuck you, slime ball pieces of filth that destroyed what used to be the #1 health care system in this country. So Barack Obama and all the rest of the politicians are in bed with these people. This was another way of saying, hey, there's a lot of Rogers running around out there that have been playing the healthcare game by their own rules, which I have been. I'll explain how that works in a minute. But back to what the boys on Capitol Hill took a look and saw that there were Rogers out there running around. They wanted to get into my wallet somehow. So you either join up with us or we're going to fine you. Well, okay, you're going to fine me, but the fine's going to be somewhere around $300 a year. And that covers just about one payment of your premium every month with the $5,000 deductible. In short, go suck an elephant cock. Fine me, I'll pay the fine. That'll be the end of it. How did this all happen? Long before Barack Obama showed up. This happened with the biggest slime fuck probably that ever walked into the White House, Richard Milhous Nixon, on his way out the door. This is what I love about this country, how fucking stupid they are. This guy got impeached. The only president ever to be impeached, and he resigned before they went through the whole process because of Watergate. But one of his last actions before he got impeached was to appoint who was going to replace him. How the fuck do you get to do that when you've already been shown to be a slime fuck that was going to get booted out of office? He appoints Gerald Ford, by the way, from the Warren Commission, in case you want his credentials. And Ford's first act as the president was then to pardon Nixon from any criminal charges. Gosh! And everyone sat back and said, okay, pretty much how it always works out. But the other thing that he did on the way out the door was signed a bunch of laws into action that allowed cocksuckers, Henry J. Kaiser, and the rest of his big-time health insurance pals to eventually and slowly turn what was health care into insurance company profit. Hospitals making money. Insurance companies profiting 3/4 of the money or more for themselves. Doctors taking it in the ass. The doctors used to be millionaires in this country, and they fucking deserved it. You know what it takes to be a doctor? I saw that shit sandwich when I was in college. 4 years pre-med. That means from the minute you walk in, you're going to be a doctor, and it is the most overpowering workload a student could ever take on. 4 years pre-med. Then you go through the hoops of trying to get into med school, taking that MCAT exam they've got. And then you get into med school, and it's 4 more years of ridiculously intensive study. Then 2 years as an intern. That's 10 years. And by the time you get out, you're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. But it didn't used to matter because doctors used to make good money. What happened? Insurance companies decided they were making too much money, meaning the doctors. We want it. We're going to fix it now so you guys get about 1/3 of it or less, and we take the rest. And we'll tell you what you can and what you can't do, what you will and what you won't charge, and all the way down the line. So now we're back to how do I work my health care? The doctors that are still remaining in this country, which, by the way, we went from #1 healthcare on planet Earth before all this was allowed to happen and slowly deteriorate, to where we actually ended up now, which is number 37, right above Slovenia. That's where we are in terms of healthcare, or what we call healthcare. So what is my plan? Real simple. I go to the doctors when I do need them, which has been for some of the things I just mentioned to you. And you think they're not tired of getting ass raped by these insurance companies? I walk in and say, here's the deal. I'm a cash patient. You know what I mean? Cash. You know what that means? Cash. It means you don't have to report it. Cut me a deal. Let's get the insurance company out of it. Cut me a deal. Let's work this out. And that's what I've been doing. And it's been working just fine for all the things that I've needed. And that's the way it's going to stay. What happens if a catastrophe, the big C word, comes along, and it actually is one that I'd have a chance to beat, but it's going to take several $100,000 of insurance or medical care? Well, all during the time that I have not been paying the $3,000 a year, let's say that's 10 years from now, the big one shows up at my door. That's $30,000 I didn't pay. I'm going to take, instead of 30, half of that, 15. I'm going to go to Canada, and I'm going to pay some woman $15,000 to marry me so I can get Canada's socialized medicine, which works just fucking fine. That's my fucking catastrophic health plan. He's Bush with a vocabulary. They're all on the same team. Do we need to take a break? We're okay? Good. I'm not done. The difference I would grant is that he seems to be at heart a decent person that probably would like for things to be different. But all of them get up there and find out what the score is. You know who the last president was in this country that actually tried to run the country? It's a fellow named John F. Kennedy. And there was a lesson sent in Dealey Plaza that day that was not an assassination. That was a public execution. Kennedy actually thought he was running the country. He told the CIA, I'm breaking you guys up. Those are the watchdogs for this whole corporate system I'm talking about on a global basis. He said, I'm scattering you to 1,000 pieces and shaking them to the winds. We're not going to Vietnam. And the next thing you knew, there was a public execution in Dealey Plaza. And every president that has followed him since then knows that's what the consequences are if you think you can go around this power structure. So you can put forth the facade of leadership as we instruct you to, but it's a dog and pony show of a one-party system. Democrats and Republicans are really Republicrats. There is no difference between the two. Now, what is their actual job besides speaking for the corporate interests that I just mentioned? The people that put them in office, the lobbyists, the special interest groups. What is their function? Precisely what they succeed in doing, which is constant finger pointing at the other person's policies that are causing all these problems. You guys want to spend. You guys don't want to give any money. You put this policy in. You put this policy in. And how does it all play out? It all plays out that you get one television network with Hannity and O'Reilly and Rush Limbaugh and the rest of the fucking bird-brained right-wingers spewing all the rhetoric that they want to blame the other side for, the Democrats, the libtards, all the rest of the shit you hear, their rhetoric. And then you got Rachel Maddow and Al Sharpton on the other side spewing the same shit about the right wing. But all of these policies, regardless of which one you do or don't like, were put in by these cocksuckers to put this image of policy and politics in front of the public, the dumbest motherfuckers on planet Earth, who then fall right in step in saying, the problem is, it's those goddamn gays getting married. That's what it is. The problem is, it's those not having prayer in school anymore. The problem is, it's abortions. The problem is, it's stem cell research. The problem is, there's too many goddamn illegal immigrants in this country. All things that have nothing to fucking do with what the issue is. The problem is that we're no longer a democracy. We are a corporatocracy. We are no longer a government run by the people. It's what we call a benevolent dictatorship. Pardon me. Still a little under the weather. But point is, they're in a club and we ain't in it. It's just that simple. And they're speaking for those people. Not us. Let me take a look here. Pardon me. Jesus Christ. I told you it's cold as teeth. Oh, there it is. I haven't invited anybody to weigh in on this shit yet. You can. I gotta look at the number. Hey, you can call our RMC Live, the Roscoe Media Center, if you want to take issue with any of what I've discussed or you have something you'd like to add. That number is 323-292-7170. Actually, strike that. That's not the number. The call-in number is 323-965-1600. That's 323-965-1600. So enough of my rant on Barack Obama, politics, healthcare, the rest of it. Let's get back to what I really like to talk about, the toy department. Sports. We are finally at the end of March Madness, which is only the beginning of the end of the start to basketball's long 11-month-a-year program in the NBA. We're getting close to the playoffs shaping up for them, but now we're down to the NC2A championship, which probably is far more interesting. But we're also shaping up for the NFL draft, which is going to be interesting. This is probably the most talent-laden pool of athletes in quite some time. And the two people that seem to be popping up on everyone's radar more than anyone else is Clowney and Manziel. There are question marks about both, some of which are just mind-boggling to me that they're even still an issue. The one thing on Manziel is, Jesus, somebody call 911, just a joke. The problem on Manziel is they're saying he's too small. Well, there's a guy named Russell Wilson that's hoisting a Super Bowl ring that would tell you that just simply isn't a valid argument anymore. And on that note, I'm going to segue off for a moment on Russell Wilson. This is the kind of hate breeding the media is constantly responsible for. Russell Wilson is a sensational athlete, a fine young man, a great quarterback, and he's black. And he took on the odds as a small player in a big man's game with what a lot of people used to consider to be the wrong skin pigment. Now, I would say that there was a time when black quarterbacks were not allowed on the field. It's just that simple. But that stopped a long time ago. If you can play now, you're in. But the problem is that there has still been a dearth of talent that has played the position the way it needs to be played to succeed at the NFL level. In the college level, there's been countless great athletic black quarterbacks that can just tear up the field in college and have tanked in the pros. And there's even some that aren't black that have done that, a.k.a. Tim Tebow. College quarterback, was never going to make the transition. But now we're getting down to where you're seeing this kid, Russell Wilson. He's the real deal. I think he's going to be the first great, by great I mean Montana, Brady, Manning level technician from the backfield that also has the ability to run like none of the above ever had. And he is the guy I see that can possibly reinvent the position. And he's got a solid team around him, a good coach. I don't like this team. I like this kid. I don't like this team. There's a lot I don't like about it. I don't like Pete Carroll. I sure as hell don't like the 12th man concept. But my point in saying all this is typical hate-breeding media horseshit. Russell Wilson, two-sport athlete, by the way, was quoted as, naturally misquoted or misrepresented, that something along the lines of he's going to be the greatest quarterback of all time, he said. So it's just, the usual crap that they spew all over the media. And instead, I just realized I'm going to have to look a little further into this because that just doesn't sound like this kid. And sure as hell it wasn't. What it turned out being instead was he'd been asked something about what his goals were, and he said something like, I would like to be the best person that ever played the game, but I'm a long way from that right now. It's going to be something I'm going to have to work hard for. But what other fucking goal should he have? I just want to finish somewhere around the middle of the pack. That's the goal he and everybody else that plays that game should have. I want to be the best that ever played it. But what does it play out to? The usual fear-mongering, hate-breeding horseshit, so that all the fucking crackers in America that still can't buy the idea that there's even blacks in the NFL, much less playing our position, quarterback, which it isn't, it's nobody's position, now have something to target, meaning this kid. And sorry, no sale here. I call it the way I see it. I think the kid has the potential to be at that level. Now, back to Johnny Manziel. What has been one of the earmarks of black quarterbacks that has worked very much against them, and that is the tendency for what I call the showboating. The Cam Newton showing the Superman on his chest, the signature trademark move, and this is not just destructive to the position and the team. It's never worked regardless of skin color. All of the quarterbacks I've seen, white or black, that have a signature touchdown hot dog move, they don't last. They don't succeed. They're the Jim McMahon one-year wonder types. That you have to not just be the leader of your team that guys want to die for. You can't be the guy that's hot dogging in the end zone that's pretty much spitting in the face of the other 10 guys that just blocked their ass off and put you there. Not as a quarterback. I don't even buy it at the receiver and the running back level. I've always thought, you want the classiest player of all time? Barry Sanders. Flip the ball to the ref, act like you've been there before, go back, shake the hands of the lineman that blocked for you. That's how you play the fucking game. But you can get away with it for a while at those positions, running back, receiver, because you're not the guy with the ball in his hands every single fucking down. That's the quarterback. And it's not just the hot dogging and the effect that it has on the team. It's also the fact that you don't stay on the most necessary thing a quarterback has to have, which is an even emotional keel. You can't get excited when you score a touchdown and pissed off when you throw a pick. It's one of the reasons why Peyton Manning is never going to be, in my opinion, one of the greatest that ever played. He's a great technician. Doesn't have the emotional makeup for it. Definitely a class act, definitely not a hot dog, but I've seen him too many times screaming at his players as they're walking off the fucking field for the guy that ran the wrong pad. You don't see the great ones do that. Never saw Montana do that. You never see the people that really played this game at the top level pointing their fingers at other teammates. And a quarterback has got to be on an even emotional keel at all times. And this kid, Russell Wilson, epitomizes that. So I'm picking him to go all the way. Now back to the draft that I began this with. Manziel. Physically, this kid's got it all. Problem I see is everything I just got done saying about the black quarterback, I'm going to say about this kid. Too much hot dogging, too much of an emotional swing when he plays well and when he doesn't play well. And he also has off-the-field issues. And he's a punk. And he likes to drink. Physically got the tools. He's a question mark. Would I take a ride on him? I think I would. I would take a ride on him and put him on the bench for a couple of years and then eventually put him in. Put him in some place like, you know, it would be great to pick him up? New England. So that's my thoughts on the draft. That's my thoughts on healthcare. All I'm going to say is I'm back here at the Roscoe Media Center, and I'm going to make my best attempt to be here on time next Thursday at noon. And once again, keep in mind, this is the Roscoe Media Center, where you can call in 323-965-1600. You know, I'm just not used to the whole camera in front of me yet. I've done a lot of radio, but I never had you guys able to see me where you can see I'm using a fucking cheat sheet here. It's been that long since I've been on. I needed it. But what I'd like to say more than anything else is it's good to be back. I want to thank Chris. I want to thank Larry for bearing with me during my road trip and illnesses because I was unable to come in and tape record some shows in the tape record. What a fucking dated stuff. And put some shows on the record that could be shown while I was gone. But I'm going to see if I can correct that coming up with the run I've got in a couple of weeks. I'm going to set something up with Chris and with Larry, and we'll work something out where I can do a couple of shows, and bang, away we go. I like to keep current, and I appreciate those of you that have been joining us. This has been Flophouse Radio. I'm going to be back next week, and here's the real question. Will you? Thanks.
That's the happy ending for today, but we'll be back next Saturday at 9 p.m. Pacific. Or if you missed us, we'll give you another shot at 9 p.m. Pacific on Sunday at Indy100.com for more Flophouse Radio. Listen to us live Monday through Friday at noon Pacific at FlopHouseRadio.com.